Test, 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 test.
Testing. Microphone. Okay. All right, we're gonna dig this. So, yeah, I'll just welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Raise your hand if this is your first AICC meeting that you've been to. Okay, a lot of newcomers. Great. And I know, where's Will? Will's been here since the beginning, so props to Will. So usually, we talk about film and that sort of medium. Today, though, we're going to switch gears and talk more about art, digital art, whatever AI art, whatever you want to call it. We're joined by KD, who's our guest speaker tonight. Local Austinite, who I happened to meet fortuitously at an art event, and here we are. And he threw his own event recently as well. That was Creative by Night, very successful night with a lot of local Austin artists and this art. So, Katie, I'm gonna just go for like half an hour. If you want to say, do you want to say anything right now?
I want to say, first off, thank you for being here, friends, new friends, and this is a really dope space. Like, it's cool to just be able to chat about AI and creative stuff. Because even if one person's here, I'd be here, just chatting. So it's like, I'm really excited to just talk, have conversations, and just share and do like-minded people. So, dope guy, amazing stuff, doing some dope shit-ish.
Sorry for the live stream. Yeah, and so this also is a little bit different because the last half hour is going to be devoted to talking to you guys and having a discussion, kind of philosophical discussion actually about AI art. I have some questions for KD, I have some questions for you guys, so we want y'all to participate and hopefully you can stay the whole time. So let's get started. So unfortunately, we're experiencing a little bit of an audio issue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this and the audio is gonna come out of my computer, but I'm sure you all can hear it just fine. And it's more about the visuals anyways. So yeah, yeah, that's a good idea actually. So this is bestaifilms.com. I'm gonna plug it, you should check it out. A lot of cool content on there, all categorized. Right now we're in the movie trailer section. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool creators here that I've curated for y'all. And yeah, check it out. So this, what I'm gonna show you is quite impressive to me. This is more in the film realm. We're not in the digital art realm yet. We're still in the film realm. So the first part, I'm gonna just talk about film stuff mostly, but it incorporates a lot of AI softwares, so still interesting. I just want to show you guys this. I might not play the whole thing. It's like 5 minutes long. It's basically these guys who was here last time. Okay, so you guys remember Squid? Our guest speaker last time worked with these two guys on that project, the AMC project, and told me about them. What's up, Yash? Take a seat. So our last speaker knew these guys, worked with them, and now they've created this really dope movie trailer, kind of like celebrating their company. So I'll play a little bit of this. This is all made with AI.
Forward to a great future for America. A future in which our country will match its military strength, our moral restraint, its wealth with our wisdom, power with our purpose.
I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do.
Poppy's on his way. And when I'm finished, the city's gonna remember what it means to be.
Let's get my relationship to this completely straight. I am the writer of the textbooks of Scientology.
When we first started looking into the Kowloon Walled City, also known as the densest city in the world, we thought, for a place that's essentially a slum, full of crime and drugs, with subhuman living conditions, there sure is a lot of romanticization about this place.
That's pretty impressive to me. I put it on the website, thought it was cool. Any thoughts on that? Yes. No. They kind of, I wish I did. They kind of had a bad separation, so, anyways, yeah, you know how that goes. But basically, I don't have insight, but I do know that it was not Sora, because not many people have access to Sora right now, as you probably understand. But this one I'm about to show you was made with Sora. It's called Airhead. It's pretty cool. Has anybody seen this already? Okay, sweet. All right, so this is made with Sora, which is one of the newer tools, not totally available to everybody yet, but will be in the near future.
Well, they say everyone has something unique about them, something that sets them apart. It's just in my case, you know, it's quite obvious what that thing is. I am literally filled with hot air. Yeah, living like this has its challenges. Windy days, for one, are particularly troublesome. Or there was the one time my girlfriend insisted I go to the cactus store to get my uncle's area wedding present. Ugh. What do I love most about my predicament? With the perspective it gives me, you know, I get to see the world differently. I float above the mundane and the ordinary. I see things a different way from everyone else. Yeah, I feel like it's because of that perspective I'm reminded every day that life is fragile. We're all just a pinprick away from deflation. So I try to live life with a lightness, a buoyancy, a joie de vivre. I got a lot of ideas keeping this thing full. With any luck, I'll find a way to share them with everyone else.
So, a few things about that. I actually contacted the guys who made that. They gave me permission to post it on bestaifilms.com, which was cool to meet them. But obviously, you can see that Sora is like the next level, impressive. With this tool, a lot of storytellers are going to be able to do their thing in a totally new way. So it's pretty incredible what's happening right now. But ultimately, it's a story. It's funny. You smile. You like it. So everything goes back to that, essentially, for me, is just tell the story no matter the medium. So now I'm going to do a quick little run through. Oh, what's up? So Sora is from OpenAI, and they're behind ChatGPT. And it's a really crazy, impressive new AI video tool that's not totally publicly available yet. But some directors have gained access to it through OpenAI, like their relationships. So we're starting to see like the first testing. We currently don't know the pricing, and we don't know the access that's going to happen. So we'll see about that. But really impressive stuff. It's text-based as far as I know. But when you watch what you just saw, there's a lot of editing, there's a lot of sound design, there's a lot of voiceover, you know, there's a lot animation, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that final product. And certainly like the origins of it, I believe, are just text to AI visuals. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. No, no, it's a lot. It's a lot of iterations of prompts and figuring out how to get there. Each shot, though, think of it like shot by shot by shot. Each prompt is essentially creating a shot. Yeah.
We just learned that Sora is going to be available through Adobe. I don't know what tool it's going to integrate with, but we just heard that yesterday.
Oh, shit. Will with the news. All right. Yeah, Adobe is really embracing AI, and Premiere is gonna integrate with a lot of AI programs, which is gonna be really exciting, because I use Premiere to edit my AI film. So for all y'all that don't know, I'm creating an AI feature film, 1.5 hour long film, all using AI tools from a script that I wrote that I tried to get produced for 5 years in LA, never happened. So now I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna use AI. And so that I'm about 6 months into that process, and I've learned a lot. The tools are obviously changing like as I go, so I'm having to, you know, kind of rejigger things. But basically, like I said, a shot is a shot. You know, if the shot's good and you like it, who cares what tool you use? You know, if the story's cool, if the scene's funny, all that stuff. So I'm gonna quickly go through this. I'm not gonna read all of it. This is from a newsletter that I sent out actually. You guys can become a part of it if you go to bestaifilms.com on the bottom. So this was, all these images are AI generated from films that are available to watch on that site. And I'm gonna skip forward just to, so I just want to show you guys these images are pretty cool. This is by a guy named Kavan, who I'm in touch with. Really cool dude. Okay, so I'll start here. Basically, do you guys, any of you guys do like film development or content? You guys do content? Who does content? Okay, sweet, sweet. Yeah, content's like a popular thing these days, I guess. So, I mean, for what I do, for my profession in the film industry, a lot of what we do is pitching and developing, and we're trying to like show people the idea, basically. Make a fake trailer, make a sizzle reel, make a pitch deck. You know, you guys are all familiar with pitch decks, I'm sure. So these AI tools are actually being used a lot now in pitch decks. The pitch decks that I make are called treatments, so I'll refer to them as treatments tonight. Basically, okay, so AI is being used for treatments, pitch decks, mood boards, sizzle reels, fake trailers, and concept art. And a lot of like what goes into movies like Dune, stuff like that, is concept art. They hire like tons of concept artists to create the vehicles and the animals and all that stuff. Now the iterations of that can come out a lot faster through AI. The director's vision can be more like customized, let's say. So that's that slide, that's from the thing. Yeah, I mean, I think there's no substitute for human-made art, and you know, I'm on the side of the artist, of course. But we'll talk about that philosophical stuff later. Previs. So, are you guys familiar with like pre-visualization for film? Some of you. So previs or pre-visualization is basically storyboarding, testing camera tests, testing a scene, and now and production design. It's like, okay, we want to design this set. We want to know as much as possible before we arrive on location. And this can be for anything. It could be for content. It could be for a film. It could be for a documentary, whatever you're producing. And basically, these AI tools are now allowing us to do more ahead of time before we arrive, to know what is this lens going to look like. So in Midjourney, you can select the lens. Let's say you can specify the lens for the shot. Okay, so this is the framing of our shot. This is the lens we want to use. and you could basically try it out in Midjourney or DALL-E or Stable Diffusion, and figure out, you know, oh, this is how the shot might like. Oh, we want to move the camera this way. Do we want the camera to be pulling back or going forward or going up? Then you could test camera movement out in stuff like Runway, because Runway is really good for camera movement. So essentially, you can test these shots out before you arrive on location. It's going to affect a lot of the industry. Documentary filmmaking. So we're starting to see more documentary sort of stuff come out, which is really interesting to me when you apply, like, you know, black and white, and you have talking heads essentially, like in interviews, which I'll show you a picture later. This one's a shot from a documentary that was made about like some conspiracy during World War II or something. It's pretty cool. I put it on the website. Basically, like with documentaries now, you can recreate a person, a historical figure. If you have a photograph of somebody, if you have their voice, you can now generate whatever you want them to say. You can put them in any single scene. You can recreate history essentially using AI tools and do it without spending a ton of money on period correct cars. You know, so that's how people are starting to use it for documentaries. Yeah, and you know, and then the question is also is like, are we going to be seeing final content, like the final content that's purely made by AI? Will people enjoy that? Would you go to a movie theater and see, you know, like what you just saw, a balloon head? Would you see that in a theater? So we're gonna talk about that and figure out what's going on with that. Me personally, I think, you know, with me working on my project, I use real human voice actors for the voices and for the faces. And essentially, I think that is better than generating all your voices through AI. I've tried both, and the subtleties and nuances you can get from humans is just like AI can't really do that. And the person, the actor, can also interpret the script in their mind in a way that AI voices can't yet, really. So I prefer human voices. I prefer human writing, not ChatGPT writing a script. That's just me. I might be out of a job if it does. Yeah, and you know, essentially, like Will said it best, you know, an AI film without some humans at the wheel can feel soulless, you know, kind of feels soulless. So when humans put their imprint on it, that's when it starts to have that special color, you know, that feel, that every movie that you like has some unique human touch in it. And if it's all machine made, it might not have that, you know. Breezing through here, that's what I just said. This is a shot, you know, of like a talking head guy, like I just mentioned. And so mouth movement, it's been kind of like meh, but it's improving quite rapidly, actually. So I think lip sync with mouth movement and talking heads and head movement, as you can see with this guy, I mean, looks pretty good, I think. So that's all getting better. There's a software called HeyGen, Heygen, if you're interested in basically feeding it some text, or feeding a video of somebody, and then having them say whatever you want them to say. So capturing somebody for just a little bit. And I'm gonna show you guys real quick this video that is blowing my mind. This is all generated with AI and HeyGen, based off of reference, voice and reference, video, photography, but then this is all created with AI.
You can even hear the background noise. Create a training video with specific tones and gestures, and you'll find how natural HeyGen's videos can be. Let me switch to Spanish. Hoy queremos darle un vistazo al futuro. Puede utilizar HeyGen para crear contenido estilo UGC, incluso cuando las personas están en movimiento o moviendo las manos. Incluso puedes escuchar el ruido de fondo. Crea un video de formación con tonos y gestos específicos y descubrirás lo naturales que puedes.
Pretty crazy. HeyGen. Yeah. Game changer. here's just a quick rundown of software. If you guys Sora, like I said, Midjourney still really key, integral. HeyGen, just talked about Runway for animation, and now Runway is actually becoming its own editing suite, so you can fully edit and create within Runway. I think Runway's doing really well. Stable Diffusion. What's the latest with Stable Diffusion, Will? Anything?
Number 3 is going. They may be releasing a different model, but 3 is coming for us to use. So we'll see what we get.
Yeah. So I mean, Stable Diffusion is probably one of the best and most customizable, but also you have to have an extremely powerful computer and a lot of time. So I don't use it as much. Topaz Labs is great for upscaling, if you want to upscale video or imagery. And like we said, Adobe products, and Pica is up there, and Leonardo is cool. I use DID for some voice movement. So if you want to take a picture, these are all the things that we're kind of messing around with. And then, let's see, workflow. I mean, everybody's creating their own workflow. I've created my own workflow that works for me. It might be the wrong way to go. Who knows? It's still really early days. So, but it always involves a lot of iteration, pumping out image after image after image after image until you get it right. And then if you're trying to animate it, you might also be getting bad animations back from the AI that just like mess up the face or whatever. So there's still like issues that you have to deal with, and it's not perfect, but you can get it pretty close. And then, I think, me personally, I think there's going to be a lot of new content coming out that's made with AI, and a lot of it's not going to be great. There's going to be a lot of sifting to do, which is partly why I started the website, just to sift through everything so people don't have to do it themselves. And yeah, story is still the most important, character, stuff like that. Hope that's been helpful. So now we'll turn it over to KD. All right, you ready? Okay. So I'm gonna unplug. Do you guys have any questions for that section? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 Continuity is a pain in the butt right now. Oh, and I forgot to talk about the new CREF stuff with Midjourney. So Midjourney has introduced this new thing called CREF, character reference, I think it stands for. And basically, it's helping with continuity, helping to maintain character through shots. When I show people my rough cuts, they're like, yeah, this looks different. Like, he looks different. I'm like, yeah, it's not perfect yet. We're getting there. Me personally, I like to use Insight Face Swap on Discord. So when I'm creating with Midjourney, I have all my faces, let's say, of my actors, my characters' faces. I have a bunch of photographs, character reference photographs. I feed that into Insight Face Swap on Discord, and then I go into my Midjourney. I replace the face with their face. I'd say 5 times out of 10 it works, and 5 times out of 10 it doesn't. And then it's better when they're facing camera as opposed to profile. There's some things that aren't perfect. So that's one thing for continuity. And then I would say a lot of continuity comes, I think, from editing, eye lines, direction of movement, the design of the set, the room, let's say, keeping the lighting very consistent. So I try to maintain as consistent lighting and specific lighting as possible whenever I create the area that the characters are in. And then when I'm cutting from character to character, I'm utilizing standard editing rules that actually help a lot with continuity of character and movement and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Recently? Yeah, I tried it myself. It wasn't working that great when I did it. And now I saw a guy online is saying you can do multiple characters with CREF at one time, which is also another difficulty, is having like multiple characters at once. Anyways, yeah, it's not really there yet. But like I said, I prefer inside face swap because it gets the face exactly the face you want, you know, every time. So, all right. Sorry about that. All right, Katie.
Cool. So thank you for having me, Matisse. Happy to be here. There's a few things I want to talk about or share around just, so my name is Katie, first off. I try to meet some of you guys throughout the day. That's my photographer, David, does great work, one of my homies. My homie back there is Chris. So people came to support me. I appreciate people I don't know. I want to meet y'all after this. But I'll kind of go through my background, who I am, why I'm here, what I'm going to share about. And I also created this. We'll talk about this too. Essentially, I'm in tech. I'm also creative, but I create AI art. I want to talk about AI art and the concepts behind it before we get into all those details, and also the, I think I want to talk about the conversation about AI art and AI on creative industries. Just want to kind of get, like, you guys know who I am, and yeah, we'll get into it. So, starting off, again, my name is KD. My full name, I say my name is KD because my full name is Kodelina. That's a mouthful. I'm Igbo. If y'all know what that is, I'm from Nigeria. I grew up there, came to America when I was 13. So I've been here, I'm 29 now, so I've been here about 16 years. So it's America, it's a journey. It's dope. I love it though. I'm I'll say first generation of my family. So it's like trying to find the American dream, and I like to feel like I'm finding it. And I want to kind of share about how I got here. So stepping back before I get into like AI and everything you see on the screen, the stuff I wrote. And that's my QR code, by the way, so if you want to connect with me, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, whatever it is, if you want to scan it, you can. I'll accept and follow, whatever it may be. So quick background on myself. I grew up in Nigeria. I came here when I was 14. Not to get too much into my whole life story, but been in America for 16 years. I went to Baylor for undergrad, if anybody knows about Baylor, Sikkim. If you went to UT, I don't like you. But I went to Baylor. I studied electrical engineering, and I'm not smart. I always say that. But you can make things happen if you just want to make it happen. But studied that, did that for while I was in college. I graduated, and I came to Austin. So when I came to America, I came to Houston. I came to Austin, and kind of how my story came about to be was. I studied electrical engineering. When I came to Austin, my first job was in chemical engineering. And okay, how do I go from chemical engineering to like doing this, right? Super random. Excuse me. But I did a lot of things when I came to Austin. I feel like a lot of people, I'm not sure how many people here are from Austin. A lot of people? One person? What? Well, always one person, yeah. I feel like, yeah. I feel like a lot of people in Austin, again, this is my assumption, a lot of people are transplants. People like, I just talked to you, you said I came from Chicago, a few different people, I'm from here, I'm from there. Just like myself, I'm from Houston, but I love Austin. And I love the energy here. Everybody's like into dope stuff, into like tech and the creative stuff. And I loved it here. So when I came here, the first thing I did was I have no friends. So I started this app to help people find things to do in the city. And that was kind of my first space into this tech realm, because I was chemical engineering. I knew nothing about development or coding and stuff like that. But I was like, I want to build something. And that was kind of my first into like, oh, how does all this stuff happen? How does all this stuff work? So did a bit of that. I came to Capital Factory a lot, actually. So was trying to meet investors. Couldn't get anybody to fund me. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me just teach. Huh? Shout out Capital Factory. They had a lot of dope events. I was here a lot. I've been here 8 years, so a few years ago. And yeah, I could never get any funding for what I was trying to do, but it's okay. that just keep doing what you're doing. I feel like all of us are trying to figure what the next thing is, but you just got to keep doing regardless of who believes in you or who doesn't. But that's another story. So I was doing that, and then that didn't work out, so I taught myself how to code. Long story short, I kept on learning about tech, just like how can I get better, how can I get smarter. All of us are trying to learn more. So halfway through that, how I got into the creative side, which is, we're all here, creative tech, was, so like I grew up in Nigeria. I think I told y'all a little bit of background of myself. I came with my mom and my 3 brothers. We just kind of came here trying to figure things out. And she sews. She makes clothes. And she always made clothes for my brothers. We didn't have money. We're almost homeless at a point in time. And she would make clothes for us to wear. But as we started to get better, advance in life, she made more clothes that were cooler, stuff like that. And I started, let me wear this, let me wear that, let me switch it up. And it just became kind of what I was wearing. And that's kind of how I got into like the creative aspect, fashion and things like that. And I just kind of doing that more. And then I was like, hey, let's build a business from what you're doing. Let's build a clothing brand. And I did that and scaled it. Long story short, we did fashion shows throughout the US, went to New York Fashion Week last year, and it was really dope. And so just like doing that, I was, oh, cool, okay, so I can also build, because I built the website, I built Instagram, the whole creative suite of it. And that was really cool to do that, but I was like, there's more I can do. There's always more, right? There's always more. And I got into one of my friends, how I got into AI and tech, kind of more in this space, was a couple years ago, one of my friends was really into AI, and they wanted to build a startup that help students find jobs using artificial intelligence. So I became the chief marketing officer for their company and was helping them run that. And it was really cool. That's where I really got into like, oh, what does AI do? How does it work? How can it help people? And that was like 3 years ago. And we did that for a while, and that's when I really started understanding, okay, AI, okay, I'm also into creative stuff, and I started getting into art. And, I could be here all day telling you about it, but like I just kind of all these things kind of start happening at once, of like all these different industries I was in, tech, AI, art, fashion, and then music. You're in Austin, so of course you get into the music scene, live shows, things like that. So long story short, that's kind of how I got into like all of these things that are coming together. And Matisse, told you guys that I had an event here in Austin. So the climax of like all these things I was doing, my clothing line, art stuff I was doing. I also do tech consulting on the side because my day job, I'm a software PM at Apple. So I do a lot of confidential stuff I probably can't talk about, but but I manage building of a lot of applications. And we have some AI applications too. So I understand the technical side of AI, but I also like the creative side too. So you see both sides. People who are creative aren't always the most technical. It's kind of like, it's vibes, which it should be. It's art. Like it should be creative. But I feel like when you can combine the scaling of tech to the chaos, I'll say chaos, lack of a better word, of art and creativity, it can really create something beautiful. And that's kind of where I started trying to get into, is like, how can I create something? How can I get into a space where I can combine all these things? And I feel like a lot of people in this room, that's why I wanted to come here. That's why I like meeting Matisse at the art show. I was so happy when I met him. I was like, what? Somebody else who likes this stuff?
And that was right before your event.
Yeah, that's right before my event.
And
yeah.
you were like scrambling to get it all ready and everything. But it sounds like the event went well.
Yeah.
You sold some art there.
Yes.
So why don't you walk us through your art and your slides, and let's see like visually your process.
Excellent. So I'll go through my process. I'll first tell you all about the piece itself, and then I'll walk through kind of how I made it. Again, I feel like he was mentioning earlier, the process looks different for everybody. Everybody's process isn't the exact same. It's just kind of like you create what works for you. So I'll just kind of preface with that if it's like kind of messy. So this is my piece. I have this in my event. So I'll tell you about my event and I'll tell you about the piece. Essentially, the event was during South by. It was called Creative by Night, where essentially we were combining a lot. I brought like artists in Austin. I brought some dope DJs. I brought people who do fashion, different fashion brands, myself and some other people, just to kind of have a space where we're like all connecting, curating, having good vibes, good connections. So a few of my friends here were there. So it was just like a good space, and I want to keep curating those spaces and even bring tech too, and that's why I'm here. Because like this is like the other side of it is like people who are like interested in like the AI side of it. So I made some art pieces for it. This is one of them, and this is probably my favorite one. I sold 2, and I didn't sell this one because I liked it so much. So
But if anybody wants to buy it, it's available.
It's available. It's available. Yeah, it's available for today. But at the show, I loved it so much. It's my first. This was the first one I made, and I was just like, wow, like this is. I didn't like. 'Cause again, growing up, I used to draw. I used to paint. I collect a lot of art in my house. So like, I have the full appreciation for the artist. Like, but I also have the full appreciation for artists just invoking emotion, right? Beyond just like the medium you do it, photography, whatever it is. But we'll get into that later. But what it is, the concept of it, I'll tell you that, then I'll walk you through workflow, is how many of you guys are familiar with DACA? You know what that is? Cool. Okay, for those who don't know what it is, I'll give a quick explanation because it's going to give some context to this. I'm not to get political, but just going to give an objective explanation. DACA is something that people who came to America when they were under 16, it enables them to live in America, stay in America, but you have to pay to be in America every 2 years, $500. You're a tax-paying citizen, you have a job, but you're not. I can't vote. I could be deported any day if it gets removed, which is crazy because I've been here 16 years. But that's a policy. Obama passed it when he was in office, but it allows me to be here. People who are on DACA are called dreamers. If you're on DACA, you're a dreamer, which means you're like, I like the name, but it's like it's kind of like you're dreaming for like the next thing, the future. And so I'm a dreamer. One of the dreamers, I think it's like 300,000 of us. Every year, whoever is in office tries to get rid of us for whatever reason, we're against that. But that's kind of the basis of this. So I'll explain it. Again, go to the workflow. But this is metaphorically me, not me, doesn't look like me, but metaphorically, this is me. And you have this here, you can't see it from here, but it says dream bigger. And I just told you guys my story because it was important for this piece. Dream bigger means that I'm dreaming bigger than my current situation, where I didn't grow up here, I had to kind of figure my way out. I didn't tell about my professional journey, that's another story, but it took me a long way to get to where I'm at, finding this American dream, lack of a better word. And this person is kind of embodying that, of like, hey, I'm in this place, this new space, like, it's so big. There's so many opportunities. I'm dreaming bigger. I'm on DACA, the dreamer. And I'm seeing 2 things. We talked about the technical side, but also the creative side, where you have these 2 glasses, or this glasses, 2 lenses, where he's seeing corporate. Again, I told you I'm a software at Apple. I work, like, my guy back there, he also works at Apple, Chris. You work 24 hours a day, damn near. We all work a lot, but it's a lot of hours. And this side of glasses is like office. I'm working, I'm grinding, I'm making it happen. It's all the time. This side is outside. It's like, oh, hey, I bike a lot in Austin. Who else goes outside in Austin? Anybody like outside? Cool, okay. So we all do, we like going outside. I like going outside, I bike a lot, I like being in nature. So these are the 2 sides of it, where I'm in the office, but I'm also outside too. But I'm also like in my creative space, and that's what these flowers are, where it's like your brain is so multifaceted, it can do so many things, and it's like there's so many ideas in my head all the time. I'm scatterbrained. If you know me, I'm always doing this, doing that. So it's like just like there's so much you can do, so much you can be. It's limitless. That's what this is. And yeah, so that's the concept of this piece, is really just like a person in this new space, new place, seeing 2 different avenues of the world, and it's limitless. So dream bigger, limitless thoughts, limitless opportunities, and that's the concept of this piece. That's why it meant so much to me, because it's kind of intimate to my story and who I am and who I'm going to be. So yeah, so that's a piece. Any questions on the piece before I go to the workflow? Appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
want it.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Because when I made it, I was like, I like it so much. I don't know if anybody doesn't like it, but I like it. So cool. Huh? I'll share the prompt. Yes. I do prints. I'm trying not to. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I do prints of it. This is the first print, so we can talk more. But I'm trying to only do one print of this one, just as my first one, and
Limited run.
It's trying to be more authentic for this one. So
Yeah, let's jump into workflow.
yeah, cool. So getting into the workflow, I'll show kind of the first initial outline. Then I'll go into like more pictures. But I like to kind of structure things on visual, so I like to kind of do an outline first. So I think we talked a little about reference photos and the references that you use for your art. I use Midjourney, that's my avenue for creating everything. And there's a lot of dope stuff on Midjourney. So I'll go through this and I'll go through like more concrete pictures. But essentially I have my reference photos that I take and I'm like, okay, cool. These are the photos that I like, whether it's stuff that I've been seeing over time, stuff that's on the internet, stuff that I like, stuff that I looked up and researched. I collect that all in a folder over time, over weeks, over months, and kind of save that for whenever I want to create something. And then reference art. So again, I like art. I really respect art. I know it's not easy to make different avenues, whichever you create, whether you paint, whether you draw, whatever it is. And some of my homies were gracious enough to let me use some of their art for my art. Because I was like, hey, I want to do this. I think it's be dope. I love your stuff, and I want some influences of your stuff. And again, we'll go into this conversation about the whole,
philosophy
of it. But I use some of their art for my art. So then Midjourney, use everything. But one thing I use in my workflow is Canva as well, because sometimes you use Midjourney. A lot of you probably used it where you get a bunch of noise. You're like, oh, this is a lot. I want to bare region. I want to erase this. I want to change this, and then it comes out uglier than before. So I was like, I'm tired of doing this. Let me just go to Canva and just remove it myself and just edit it, do what I need to do. And if I want to take it back, I put it back into Midjourney and things like that. So this Canva, it's like iterative. I might put it in Canva, put it back. But anyways, Canva is part of that. And then I also use Paint too. So because I told you guys I used to draw, I used to paint. So this is physical paint, where I take some paint and then we splatter on it just to give it some character, some life. So I did that a little bit on this too. Not anything crazy on this, but some other stuff I've been more experimental. But use paint, like physical paint, just to kind of also have more of my physical influence to it, because I think that's important. And then
the human touch.
Human touch, yeah.
The human touch.
Go ahead, yeah. Yes. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So I have some here. There's some that's not as visible. So some here, like I didn't make this one. I have another one that has a lot more accents on it. But this piece, there's something here. Just kind of like made it more subtle so it wasn't super like noisy, because I really wanted the message to be clear. But just kind of like some like splotches of like different colors, white. I like red a lot. So like even some of these that weren't as clear when I printed out, I kind of like did some painting on it to make it a little clearer, stuff like that. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I thought I had to clarify it. I was like, yeah, physical paint. Yeah.
Gotta love Microsoft Paint. Classic. Yeah. Are you able to show us the two others?
I don't have those right now.
Well,
I can pull it up. I can find it and pull it up.
Okay.
I see it.
Maybe while we're talking to the audience, you can pull it up.
Yeah. The other one.
He has two others that are really awesome as well. So
yeah.
It's one of three.
Yes. Well, one of them I use more on. This one is kind of my baby. I try to protect it a little more, but yeah. So this is the high-level workflow. Now we're gonna go into the chaos of me trying to put things together. Oops. So this is the reference photos and art that I use. So I'll walk through each one. The one on the, I'm very visual. Since you guys are seeing, I'm just gonna like point to this. So this one, the one on the far left, I think far left for everybody, right? Yeah. Those two are from my friends. A lot of my friends who created the art. It has like y'all familiar with Cause? Y'all know Cause? Yeah. So he does a lot of Cause influence, Cause art, stuff like that. And then my homie is a photographer, artist. So those are those two on the top left. And then I like flowers. I like flowers, like anything that's like, what's the word? Life. So art, nature, those two, like the flower, the nature piece, I really like resonate with life. And then the other ones is like more images of like, I love music. I love black joy. As a black man, I love color. And there's a lot of stuff that I always look up stuff. I always look up images. I like different stuff. Like I have a lot of tattoos, so I'm always looking at different images to like blend. Oh, how do I like this? How can I change this? So I save a lot of stuff, and there was some stuff that I'd saved. I like monkeys, super random, and I like that monkey a lot. He's very colorful. I like colors, that's one of the ones I saved. And then the building is kind of what I talked about before. One thing I really wanted to capture was the I don't know if this is the right word, but the dichotomy of like just me in the office, and I spend so much of my days working, and like that has to be captured in this because we'll go to the prompt, but that was one thing I wanted to be captured in this piece too. So these are the reference photos and arts. I said concepts because the concepts, as you guys know, is a baseline for what you put in Midjourney before you do your prompt, things like that. So any questions on the concepts, any thoughts? Cool. So then going to Midjourney, ended up being the vision. I put a prompt that I thought was gonna give me the perfect thing the first time. Because it was when I first, I really started using Midjourney, and I was like, I wanna give something, I think it's so smart, it's gonna be really good. And I'll read it here, you guys probably maybe read it. But I blended all of those photos together, and I said, all these photos, imagine all these photos blended together. Show me a concept of somebody turned between worlds of art, nature, beauty, creation, culture, and structure. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get the perfect thing, and it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, right on the first. That would be nice. Yeah, I mean, the word is iteration. Thousands of hours.
Thousands. So I try to put, again, this is very rough. I had a lot of other stuff that like just is inaudible. But the right is iterations that he just mentioned. And the other stuff there is kind of some of the stuff that I put where I was like varying, where I was upscaling, where I was doing different stuff. So those kind of the smaller phrases, hey, blend with this photo. Like I'll take a photo, I'd get one of these photos, put it back inside, and then just keep blending with it. Even like the roses, I'll get the rose, crop it, put it back inside, blend this photo, reblend, or replace with this person, or add this accent to this region, replace half of these flowers with this image. So for me, it was a lot of just like, as you guys know, just reprompting, and it went from this one on the far left, top left, to the final image, which I'll get on the next page. That was kind of the last 4 photos on the far right, which kind of led to where we're at now. So yeah, just as you guys know, with Midjourney, it's just a lot of prompting, reprompting, and trying to get your vision, because I knew what I wanted, but it was just hard, so hard. It took me probably like 3 weeks to really try to get it. Some people it takes longer, but I feel like every artist's process is different. But for me, I was just like, damn, why doesn't it look the way I want it to look? So yeah, finally got it closer to what I wanted it to be. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. That's a good question. So I took a lot of, so I would take one, so like, let's take the top left, the one that looks the most different out of all of them, because that's like the first one. I would take one of those, and I would crop it, and I would or I'll go to not even crop it, I'll go to like Midjourney website, take it out, and then pull it back and throw it in there and say, hey, take this and recombine with like one of my original reference photos. And then, okay, does it look how I want to look a little bit? Okay, let me take this other one looks close, and then pull it back in, take it from Midjourney, reblend it back in. And I just kept on like reblending from like the carousel of like, okay, this looks close, let me take this and then put it back in. So like I kind of mixed, for all those 4 of those, I would take pieces of those and re-put it back in and mix it with like a reference photo to get it closer to what I want it to look like. Because as you can see, the first one, there's no black person in there. And that was really key to me. I wanted to represent me. So I had to take a lot of it's like, hey, please, can you show me this? I'm trying to get this image, so.
Yeah, and let me just jump in and say that for film, like for creating scenes, is very similar because, again, a scene is made of shots. These are shots. If you want to animate this, it becomes a moving shot. and you can do that quite easily, actually. And I don't know if you've even put these in the runway, but it'd be cool. And so even with filmmaking, with creating the shots, while Katie's focusing more on just like the perfect image, I, for my movie, got to make hundreds of images. And so I don't have as much time, but I would say that the process is similar in Midjourney, where I'm spending hours blending and trying things and putting that back in and taking that out to get my perfect shot that I then animate for the scene, essentially. Yeah.
How specific can you get? Like, say you look at like your first iteration. How specific can you get with like keeping certain aspects that you like versus certain aspects that you want to change? Like, is it just kind of like, hey, take this other picture as a comparison and we'll see what it comes up with? Or can you say keep this, this, and that, and change this, this, and that?
Yeah, like, well, Vary Region, we were talking about Vary Region a lot in Midjourney, is like extremely powerful tool where you can just select an area that you don't like and reprompt it, essentially, and it'll just change that one area. So for me, for instance, like, it gets the hair of my character wrong a lot, so I have to just circle the hair and prompt until it just spits out the right hair, hopefully. Or you can give it a reference image for hair and even try to blend that in. Let's see what the AI does with that, you know?
Yeah, I would add to that too. I think reference images are so powerful. And also even like when you get a reference image, I use something, I'm not sure how many people use it, but I use Canva a lot to like clean stuff up where like when there's noise, when you're doing Vary, sometimes it just gives you noise. But if you clean it up and you put it back in, it's like, oh, I don't see noise, and it gives you a better output. So that helps me too. Yeah.
So as the artist, obviously you're trying to get into your like image creation of what you ultimately created. Some of these other images are kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
As an artist, are you ever like, that's not what I was trying to do. This, or like that's also kind of badass. Like if I went into an art gallery and saw any of these images, you have, oh, it's all kinds of impressive. You kind of use any of that stuff?
Well, that's that.
Or kind of what are your thoughts on like these other images?
So I think that's a really good question because honestly, I wish I could label these, but one of these, it's like on the top left, the most top left photo, the top right photo in that box. It's like a girl with flowers on her head. Not sure how you guys can see that, but I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is really cool. But for me, like to your point, where I was like, oh, I can use this, I can do this. But I knew like for what I wanted to create, I was like, this is missing the vision, this is missing the message, because I had the message before I created it. So I was like, I want the message to be there. I could maybe use this as a reference for another image in the future. So like to your point, I can use it in future, but the message for me was defined first. And when I get to that message, I'll have it. So even these going to the last four, you guys can see, those all kind of had it. But then, you know, one guy's kind of blue, one guy's kind of white. And I was like, okay, the guy who's kind of mirroring me the most, that's the one that I want. And then, of course, more edits on that. So,
right, it's about vision. Like
Exactly.
Squid said at the last meetup, vision. You have to have the vision. So you know in your mind what you want, and the AI is not giving it to you immediately. So you keep going and going and going until you're like, that's exactly what I wanted. And that's what takes a lot of time.
Yep. It's a good question, though, for sure.
Oh, yeah, and I would just say that I do have a folder on my computer for all the images I'm not using that I think are still cool. And sometimes I go into that, I'm like, yeah, this is really, I would like make a print of this or something, you know, like even though it's on the cutting room floor, you know, like you're not going to use it, but it's a scrap that you still think is cool. And so I just keep a folder of those.
It's important. This is good, though. Any other questions? This is exciting. I love talking about this. No? Cool. So that's prompting, reprompting. So kind of getting more to the final vision after iterations and prompts. So Canva, I like Canva a lot. I was using Canva initially when I had my brand for content creation, things like that. But I think it's really good. The text I added was with Canva, so you see I had add text there. And then erase blemishes. Midjourney is helpful with that, but I think Canva is a more controlled, as I said, control, clean up, and enhance. You're not worried about, hey, if I do this, I'm going to get, you know, spiked ear here, I'm going to get this here. You just know I'm going to for the most part, they also have AI integrated in Canva too. So you do the erase, it's very visual on like, hey, I know what to erase, I know what not to keep. So Canva is really good for like me for cleaning up and then just adding little things. It's not gonna give me what Midjourney would give me. Again, I haven't experimented with Canva a whole lot, but it's gonna get me to what I want to do for just cleaning things up and just adding some text. So there's probably more I can do with it. Still learning, so we'll see. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes. No. So like when I get that, then that's when I have the physical product. Once I put the paint on it, then that's like it's physical.
That's
I
the
don't put it back.
final one of one. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's why he asked about prints. I was like, I don't do a lot. I try to do one of a kind. Yeah, because it's exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing that we also wanted to talk about tonight, and we could talk about it right now, is like bringing what you've created in AI then into the physical realm of an art gallery where people can look at it on a wall or purchase it or frame it. And that's a whole other thing too, because this is all digital art that we're talking about. But once you print it out or you get into printmaking or more, I mean, that's its whole own thing that you could work on for years. So it's just interesting to me that we're starting digital, we're starting with AI, and then we're getting physical with it and making it real and putting it on a wall. I think that's pretty cool.
It's dope. It's dope. And I think it's just dope that again, we'll talk about it later, but I think the coolest thing about it is it enables you to do things, to expand your creative vision more than you might have been able to before. And it's amazing. But we'll talk more about that. I want to digress. Canva, anybody have any thoughts, comments on Canva? Yeah, cool.
I gotta learn it. You gotta teach me.
I got you. Yeah, it's super smooth.
I'm overwhelmed.
And the last step. Oh, so the next piece is so one thing I've been experimenting with. I told you guys I have a clothing line. We're rebranding right now and doing kind of expanding to like art and fashion or art and music. But I also experiment with how to use AI to make pieces, cool clothing pieces and stuff. So I have a workflow for that. I don't have full examples. That's something that's kind of like MVP process, like with art. But I kind of walk you through it, kind of based off of a POC I tried. And this is the last part that we'll go into kind of the philosophical conversations. So now this is fashion with AI. So kind of the same thing. I get my reference photos that I have, but I also do designs, like that I draw on like a notebook, things like that I scan in as well. And then of course prompt variations with Midjourney. So I take all these things, Midjourney, and then I have a design. Once I have that initial design, I have a tailor in Nigeria who I send stuff to. And he like makes stuff. He's really nice, really smooth, and very open to doing different stuff. And I send the design to him. He makes it, and then I get a finished piece. One of the pieces I had for New York Fashion Week, and it was really cool. It was really different. It wasn't exactly AI, but I kind of followed this process, and I'm trying to do more of this process moving forward. But yeah, this is kind of more of a POC process. So stay tuned, I'll say. So yeah, that's the workflow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really cool stuff. So now we're gonna do audience participation. So feel free to get closer if you want. We'll get closer. Pull this chair up. I guess I'm gonna ask KD the question, and then I'm sure you guys will have thoughts because we're gonna get into like the kind of the things everybody's arguing and debating about. You guys leaving? Okay. All right. So question number one: Can AI assisted art? I'll call it AI assisted art. Be considered real art?
So this is a really good question. I think this is good to get everybody's thoughts. It depends on what you call real art. Like, what's your definition of art? What do you get when you see art? Is it like, hey, I like this art because of who created it. I like this art because of how it was created, or I like this art because of the feeling I get from seeing it. So to your point about is AI art real art, my thoughts is whatever art for me, I'll say speaking for myself and I want to get everybody else's thoughts. When I see art, I'm inspired by the feeling it gives me. Like I'll tell you guys, one time I went to, let me move this out the way so everyone can see. Cool, so I'm like blocked off. Cool. So I'll tell you guys a quick story about that and I'll kind of go into it. But I was in New York for New York Fashion Week last year and I like Banksy. You guys know Banksy? I know Banksy, cool. And Banksy's art is incredible to me. And as I was walking on the street, there was a homeless guy who did Banksy imitations, right? And it was amazing. It was like probably the best. I was like, what? I was like, why aren't you?
Was it on the wall or prints?
No, it was just on the floor. It was like he had prints.
Prints, okay.
Prints, yeah. And I was like, what? I said, he was like, yeah, like I made this. And I was like, that's so crazy. And for me, I was like, this, like I love Banksy and I respect Banksy, but I love this too. And the feeling it gave me was just like, I felt connected to Banksy in a way, but I also felt connected to this guy too, where it was like, you taking something that was beautiful and you put your own spin to it, and you made it even doper, right? And to me, that's art. The feeling it gets from me is art. So to your point, answer the question, is AR art real art? I think, depending on the person, what you get out of it is what it is. For me, I like the feeling the art gives me, like, oh, this is a beautiful piece, I enjoy it, I connect with it, and that's art. But if you're somebody who has another feeling invoked from art, yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that, software is tools, right? Software and new technology, there's tools, right? And everybody that's in the paintbrush doesn't need constantly, right? There's people that are just better at it naturally. There are people that learn to get good at it, right? You think of video games as that art, right? But that software-assisted creation of digital art. You think of CGI with a lot of the movies that we watch nowadays, right? A lot of that is software-assisted as well, right? This is just the next iteration, right? This is consumer-facing, software-assisted creation and creativity. Your workflow is kind of proven, right? A lot of people aren't going to follow the same workflow, or even all of the different pieces that you were able to spit out, right? Some of those pieces to somebody would say this is the finished product, but for you, it's not the finished product, right? So that's art. It's your story, your creativity, assisted by whatever software, right? But those are just tools. Those are paintbrushes, in my opinion.
Marissa? The sources. Right. Right. Yeah.
100%. No.
Wow. Everybody's hand.
It's great. Like AI generated art type.
Yeah, I have a one quick answer. I guess this might answer your question. Is like, I'm using real people's faces in my scenes. They are actors who I paid and signed. They signed a contract to give me, whatever, to their likeness. essentially. So I, in my mind, as I was, coming up with this process and casting this film, I was like, oh, I should, legally like, they should give me permission to use their face, obviously, and I'm gonna, they'll be in the credits, of course. But then I started running out of money, and I have a lot of characters in my film, so I have a character who, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, there's a not very well known actress, and I'm using her face for this character. And will I reach out to her before I release it and ask for permission? Maybe. Will anybody know? Will anybody ever know? I don't know. Will she even see this movie? I don't know. Probably not. So it's all those questions as I'm making this film. That was probably my biggest thing. What publication? Is it like a book or? It's an essay. Oh, is it old? Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, older than me. Yeah. It's a good quote. Art in the age of mechanical reproduction. Okay. I mean, quick take from me. If I pass something, like let's say I pass this in a store or a window and I know nothing about it and I like it and I buy it and I put it up, to me that's art.
Like it.
Do you like it or not?
So I know this is like a creative discussion, so I don't want to get too techy with it, but
Let's do it.
I'm an engineer.
Sorry.
And I'm trying to figure out kind of what AI application is into like the STEM field going forward, and I thought this would be kind of a cool conversation to have. What do you guys think the kind of biggest potential application is? I was coming from a more creative aspect, like, hey, like the prompt you could put in, like, hey, give me something that can fly but also swim, and then see what it comes up with, and then basically using your human mind to say, this is feasible, this isn't, and then trying to work together between potential iterations that this thing goes through to then make an actual product that the physics makes sense and it could actually work in real time. So that's kind of one side of it, and the other side of it is like how far along. I'm not as familiar with these softwares themselves, but how far along are these to be able to get like specific with like dimensions to like make this a 50 millimeter long tube and this 20 by 20 by 20 long cube or whatever it is, So I know that's kind of a lot, but I don't know if you guys have any input.
That's a cool question. I don't, we're nowhere near there, I think, with the specificity you're talking about for physical objects in there. But I think Sora or Stable Diffusion maybe might get there soon.
I think like 50 millimeters and all that, no, good luck with that. But what they're getting at is you can do positional stuff. It's getting better and better. You can be like, I want the green ball on the left, the red ball on the top, and this on the right. And Stable Diffusion 3 is able to do that, and some of the newer like Sora's able to do that.
Sora's gonna be the big one for that stuff.
I think people are trying that, but with different approaches, not with these same kind of diffusion stuff you're seeing in art stuff.
I would say, like, to your question, your first question, I saw a Sora. I think it was a Sora film where it's like weird animals that don't exist that are combined of different animals, and you've never seen it in your life. It's like completely unique, and it's like swimming or flying. That's kind of an iteration of something that like people don't immediately like. The machine thought of that in a way,
There's also like a big potential for just the creative aspect. Like if you're saying, hey, I have this need, and to put into the prompt and say, I need something that does this, this, and this, and it can give you design back, and maybe it doesn't even make sense for like the physics to work, but it gives you ideas for how you can kind of put
Concept design again for like movies like Dune, the vehicles, you know, the Omnithopter. It's like somebody had to like think about that and design that, and then the director put it in the movie. You know.
two like software names that you think are kind of the furthest along in that general field. Can you just say this is
Sora and Stable Diffusion.
And
how do you spell Sora?
SORA.
And I know a couple more questions, but I just want to add one point to your first question about because I'm also like on the technical side too, and like you had a question about like, hey, where do we see like LLMs, generative AI, you know, like taking like software applications. So again, I'm not gonna get too technical, but like something that I think is really good in that space is like reducing interfaces. So like I'm not sure what field of software engineering you work in, but I'm more on software side and applications, and I think for those who are in that space too, a lot of times there's a lot of like wasted development time building like different UIs and applications. I think with AI, there's going to be less of a need for that. You just prompt and say, hey, instead of going to this page, like Instagram, for example, instead of being like, hey, let me go to this person's page and see this photo from January, you can just prompt and say, hey, just pull up this person's IG and show me whatever it is, or hey, I want to find all these like IGs or in this hashtag, whatever it may be. Instead of clicking, you just find it. Our attention spans are so small, like having those kind of things, to me, that's scalability. So that's one thing that I see that could be really good with like LLMs and just generative AI, things like that. So.
AI in general is like a building block application, right?
Mhm.
So it has a lot of different functionalities within the technical space that it can be used for. Gen AI is one specific iteration of AI, right? So large language models, neural networks, and things like that are able to generate different type of images based on prompts and things. It's just one application of AI. AI has a million other things that it can do, from like maps, directional, just a million other things that it can go just on and on about. So
Mhm.
Yeah, it's limitless. I mean, it's insane. Yeah.
it has a lot of applications, even with testing, right?
Yeah.
In a software testing space, there's a lot of testing that has to go on, right? So AI could help benefit, streamline testing for large scale applications, right? So there's a lot of different.
Want to start getting to the next question, but yeah.
I would just say if you wanted to get around with testing that, have you heard of retrieval augmented generation? No. It's called RAG, and it's where you give a model a whole bunch of like pre-trained data where it creates a vector database, and you give it additional context, and then you set up a chain of agents in LangChain or Llama Index where each of them is good at checking for a specific thing. So you give the first model a whole bunch of product specifications that now it's going to create something in the style of that, and you create the next model that would verify that things, like one is really good at checking the physics of a material or if the length and widths will match up and close a box, but you got to change. Same way this workflow is, each one is a different large language model that has a whole bunch of augmented information stacked on it. That's retrieval augmented generation. Yeah. Thank you guys.
We're getting technical. All right. Next question. Okay, so two-parter. Would you go to a movie theater and pay for a ticket to watch a movie that was entirely made with the help of AI, like some of the stuff we saw earlier, like Airhead, let's say, if that was a feature film? Second part, would you read a book or buy a book that was entirely written by AI?
This is good. This is really good. So I think it's similar to the whole art conversation too, where for me, my favorite genre of movies. Actually, anybody like horror movies? No. Okay, I love horror movies, right? And the reason I love horror movies isn't because of the actors. It isn't because actors help quality of the movie looks better, whatever it may be. But I love horror movies because of the jump. Oh shoot, I'm scared. I don't like seeing the scary characters, cover my eyes. But the feeling of the feeling of like, oh, I'm scared, or oh, that thing, what's coming around the corner. That's why I like a good movie. The effects, the way it looks, that's why I go to the movies. Everybody's different. Some people like characters or, who's acting. So to answer that question, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, the feeling that I get from like, oh, shoot, this is well put together. It doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look not cheap. No, that's the wrong word. But it doesn't look low quality. It just gives me a good feeling when I go there. I get scared, whatever it is. Whoever's I don't remember movie actors' names. I don't know about y'all. I don't know. I don't know a lot of names. I just know the feeling I get from seeing that movie.
The suspense and the thrill.
The suspense and the
and
thrill.
the
Yeah.
Jump scares. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think to answer that with that is like playing devil's advocate is like, oh hey, what about the people who are training in acting school, trying to give those emotions? I think that's a conversation to be had. But just for the individual movie itself, within that just that space, I would see it. But again, the creation.
You'd have to watch the trailer first.
Yeah,
And the
yeah, of
trailer
course,
would
yeah.
get you hooked.
Yes,
And then
yeah,
you're like, I
yeah.
want to see this.
Yeah,
Okay, Yash. Yeah, like why does he like it? That's the question. You know? The story, right? Exactly. Yeah. Hook with the story. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the distribution platforms are, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Right. Well, based on the amount of times I eat it per month, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Elon Musk said recently, like, as we evolve as a species, our expectations are constantly recalibrating for what we like and going up in a way, you know, getting harder and harder and harder. But yeah, you know, my hope is like when I finish my film, if I ever finish my AI film, I would love to screen it for people, you know, and have the actors there, the voice actors there. And like maybe it's during South by, during like an AI film festival. You know, these things are they're already starting to happen. And I think the things people are gonna like the most out of those film festivals are still gonna be, you know, he's gonna like the horror film. You know, like it's on your taste. But I personally think that yes, in the near future, someone's gonna make an AI film that you can watch in a theater and enjoy. Basically, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that story has like these common tropes that are being replicated in LLMs, but that the ability of AI to create information on the fly creates a new style of art where things can be kind of like custom to the person and to the experience. So I think that there's probably something towards that to where it's kind of like, oh, like I want to see like a horror film or I want to see a comedy and I want like a little bit of horror or something like that, where you can kind of like tune what you're looking for, what you particularly want, but the underlying trope of like story of like, oh, this is like a rom-com or whatever, it has like this, you know, repeatable pattern, like that's going to be like the underlying like layer behind it. Right. Just as a guess of like where things will go.
I want to say something that I forgot to say earlier was that creating my visuals with AI is one thing, and then hiring a real human actor who records their voice and I go through all their recordings. I'm like, this one's great. And then I combine the two. The humanity of that added to the visuals helped by AI adds a whole other element, because then you're really bringing humanity back into it and combining it. And so I think stuff like that is really powerful and people will connect with that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You're so smart. That's one of our questions. Right. So I think it's because even I think you asked about like, oh, is this one on one? Like, why? What makes it like, oh, if I send this print to somebody and text them, what makes them just print it out and make it their own thing, right? Where the human touch is important, but I think you can't. What's the word? You can't quantify. Oh, I need to spend as a human for this piece to be worth me saying I had human touch. I spent 20 hours on it, or I need to spend 40 hours on it. I think there's a level of like detail you put into it as a human to say, hey, I put my work into it. This is authentic. Can you quantify it? I don't think you can, but I think there's a level of like, hey, like for me, I would say I'll speak to my art. I can't speak for everybody else's, but like I can speak for maybe him too. But I have my story where it's like, hey, this is my vision. This is what it means to me, and this is kind of how it came out. Where hey, it embodies my story and what I'm doing. Himself, everything he's creating, his story. There's a humanity of it where it's like beyond just voice actors. I've been having the script for so long. I want to make this shit happen. I'm putting my time into it. I think the humanity of it is it changes per person, whether it's your story, whether it's your journey, whether it's who you have in it. So I don't think you can really quantify, hey, this has to have X amount of this and this to be a real art piece or a real movie or a real even song. There's AI music too. It's another conversation, but like I don't think there's any real quantifiable thing put into it beyond just what I said is like, you humanizing it for what it is what's the most important thing. So it's looking for your mindset. Yeah, however that looks like. And that's one of the questions too. Then I'll go to his question, where you said tools, right? And I think somebody said, I think we've said a few times about cameras, right? Hey, when the camera came out, we're gonna get rid of real paintings and stuff like that. You have the Mona Lisa, different things where it's like, oh, is camera gonna replace all this real art?
Same with theater and movies.
Theater movies, yeah, but it's like
go to the theater still. Yeah.
Everything it becomes a new category, but not even just a new category. It becomes a new way to enable even more surreal art and bring more passion into your art, bring different avenues of art. Without photos, we're gonna get film. You know what I'm saying? Like every new thing enables the next thing.
It's a lot of hybrid stuff with this, but the democratization it's gonna allow so many people who want to tell stories who
That's
have
real.
been limited by budgets
Yep.
and executives
Yep.
and corporate, whatever it was limiting you before. You really have no excuse now, you know,
That's
to make
real.
to make movies. Yeah.
So being lesser known artists,
Mhm, mhm.
better known artists, like you had the photo cause.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
You worked this whole artistic life to eventually find something that struck an emotional chord and got
A lot of people. Yeah,
now
yeah.
anyone can kind of generate art like him in that style, or if you want to, create an AI video or movie like in Wes Anderson style,
Mhm.
Christopher Nolan-ish way. Where do you see like the line being drawn on fighting style?
So I'll add. Maybe you want to
Go for it,
add. So I think it goes with everything else too. Like beyond like okay, so let's take even just content creation, right? There's so many people who are creating content. Like you have a fitness influencer who, oh, I have a six pack, I have this. You have another guy who looks just like him. You have another guy who looks just like him or her. Who is like, hey, you have these same things this other person has, but then they all have. Maybe this guy started. I don't know if you know who Christian Guzman is. You may not know. He's an influencer, but just like he started later than all these other people, but he's also able to scale his following and scale his thing. Why is that? Because he has his brand. He has, hey, this is who I am. This is what I represent. I may be as built or links to other people, even whatever other social media vertical it is or content creation it is. It's I feel like the cream will rise to the crop to the top. Your art is going like if you have your passion behind it, you have your connections, you have your people, you have what you're creating. It's authentic. People will resonate towards it and it'll come up. It may be similar to this and similar to that, and maybe it's not, maybe it is. But I think to your question, and let me know if I'm answering or not, is if you're just real to who you are and what you're creating, and you just don't stop, because people stop because hey, I'm trying to make money. But it's like if you just care about what you're doing, you don't care about money, you don't care about it, you're just doing it. Eventually, somebody's gonna like it. They may not, but I think that's for me. That's the core of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna bring this physical copy of this book that I have on my desk at home, called "Steal Like an Artist." Has anybody read that book? Great book. Goes directly to your question, and you know, every artist steals at least some. Like I wrote this down. Every artist steals at least some of the ideas and styles of the others who came before them. That's music. That's art. That's painting. That's film. Everything is a copy of something. Yeah. So to your question, does it feel a little cheap and wrong to say, do this in the style of Banksy, and then you suddenly have, yeah, it feels a little weird and wrong. But then how much of your own touch do you put onto it after that? If someone sees it and they're like, oh, that's a Banksy, it's not a Matisse, me Matisse. Yeah. Then I don't get any joy out of that. But I think it's also about you yourself, the creator, getting joy during the process of doing it. Like when I'm iterating my film, I feel joy in the present moment because I'm seeing my vision that was only on a script page come to life. And for me, that's like very joyous. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm alive to see this happen. Like in our lifetimes, this technology is like insane. So I think that's another part of it is the creator's subjective emotional experience while they're creating is just as important as are people going to like this? Are people going to buy this? Am I going to make any money? Is it going to get 1 million views? Is it going to get 1 view?
I guess the side that I was kind of looking at is like they're slowly uncovering the legal aspect of like protecting trademarks, and they're kind of have like rush getting as much experience and around trademarks.
I think. Sorry. I think it's we're at a time where I don't say it's the wild wild west, but in a way it is where there's a lot of free, even just like with crypto before everything got regulated. There's a lot of freedom to just do all these things before. There's regulation coming into place, but there's just a lot of freedom right now to use different things, and I think this is a period of time to experiment and see. Of course, there's risk. Y'all know Mr. Brainwash? Okay, yeah. That's probably one of my favorite artists, and he's actually the reason I did my show, Created by Night, that I was mentioning earlier, is he combines a bunch of different artists where when he was doing it, there was some like, hey, you're combining Banksy, you're bringing these people who have Mickey Mouse in here. Like, he has some lawsuits, but it's like,
Now Mickey's free. Anybody can use Mickey now.
you know, but it's like you have to, you just have to take those risks and try it. And it's like he now he's dope. He does dope stuff and inspires other people to be like, hey, I mean, what he's doing is pretty much how is it different from putting stuff in Midjourney? He just put it in a way that's creative and beautiful. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think it's very open ended. So yeah.
Just, I'm not an artist, but what I'm working on is trying to teach kids all sorts of different avenues of life skill development. When we look at teaching art, um, is it fair to say or fair to guide a aspiring student to be trying to figure out how to engage with the viewer of their art that's really going to propel them to a place of acceptance and connection? Is that fair to say?
So your question is, if is it fair for the student to want to connect with the artists themselves? Like, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
The ability to connect with somebody, right? Like I can go to an art show and there's certain pieces that I'll feel something from.
Mhm.
And so like the goal is how you connect with the
Mhm.
human person on the other side that's viewing it versus just creating a bunch of images that look cool. It's like, well, what does that mean? And how
Mhm.
does that
Mhm.
actually like engage someone to have a feeling? Um, and we're using AI on how to talk to kids about this. So I'm interested in an artist's perspective for sure.
I'll give my thoughts. Matisse can add. But I think that's actually a really good point where it's like, how does somebody see or get that feeling of like, hey, this is authentic? Like, I'll speak from my experience and how that impacts me. So, again, my favorite artist is Banksy, but I don't know what he looks like. Right? I've never seen his face. You know, whatever he looks like, however he looks like. I don't know exactly all of his inspirations. I know he does a lot of street art. But what invokes me feeling from his art is beyond him. It's me. So like he's feeling whatever he put into it. I see it and I'm like, okay, I'm getting this feeling from it. Again, this is just me. I don't hear everybody's thoughts, but like when I see it, I'm like, oh, I'm taking this from this monkey. I love monkeys, um, and I love the way this monkey is painted here and doing like this. And I know, okay, this is street art before. I know the story kind of behind it, but I also know what I feel from it. So I think it's a hard question. There's no right answer. But for me, it's like again the feeling that is invoked from me feeling and seeing that art piece. The artist, I respect them at the end of the day, but for me, it's really the feeling of it.
Are you? I'm trying to understand your question better. Are you asking if about the concept of children creating stuff in order to connect with other people?
No, I think he hit on it.
Mhm.
It's around the authenticity component of expressing yourself to then connect with others, to kind of connect with that expression that you're trying to get out there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I would have, for using this as an example, I could have walked through and seen that, and it may not have connected me the same way as when
Mhm.
you explained it
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
explained what went into it and what it meant to you. All of a sudden, I have that human connection, and so that's really the authenticity piece behind it. Is
Yeah.
that we can feed stuff into Midjourney or into all these different platforms all day long, but if there's not really any meaning behind it that you're trying to actually connect with,
That's what we say. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like a Rorschach picture. Yeah. Yeah. I can't talk about it. Well, we have to wrap up, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes. One last question. One more. You want to see? Sorry, you want to see what? Yeah. The future. Mhm. Yeah. Go. Yeah. Go.
So I'll let Matisse speak more on tools. But I think just in general, from my aspect, I think beyond like scaling creativity, scaling art, scaling music, fashion, that's keep going crazy. Talk about Sora, everything he shared in the beginning. But I think one thing that is interesting is how it's going to interact with, because everybody talks about, oh, AI is going to take over, AI is going to take my job, AI is going to all this stuff. And to be honest, it's not going to take anybody, well, it's not going to take anybody's jobs, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to take anybody's place. So what I think the future of AI is if people really tap in now, like I think everybody here is tapped in, doing what we need to do. But if you really tap into like, hey, how can I use this to make my life easier? How can I use this to streamline my workflows, to automate? To me, like, that's what the future of AI is. Instead of just having humanoid robots replacing people, you've seen all the different videos and stuff like that. You create your own that's going to do what you need to do. I don't know if that's going to be a thing or not, but I think the key isn't AI taking over the world. It's like us figuring out how to make the world better using AI. Yeah. So my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm inspired by what I'm seeing done with Sora right now. I think that's like gonna be crazy. I mean, yeah. I really don't. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I'm inspired by the stuff the stuff I'm inspired by. I put it on bestaifilms.com. Check it out, bestaifilms.com. So, yeah, if you want to see what I like, it's on there. Yeah. But yeah, we got to wrap it up. We got to get out of here, clean up. Thank you so much for coming. And you guys are free to network right outside the doors. And I'm probably going to be going to 7 Grand after this for a drink if anybody wants to like chat afterward. 7 Grand, like across the street. Yeah, just walking distance. Google Maps, 7 Grand. If you want to talk more, I'll be there. We'll grab a drink. But thank you so much for coming. Yeah.
Thank you. If anybody's interested in this art, let me know. I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna ping your link. Yeah. Please do.
Okay, cool. Oh, cool, cool.
I'm gonna get my fit. Maybe sure.
Well, I got Square Big Chris, I'll see you around. Yeah, I got some videos on there and stuff.
Take it easy. Yeah, cool. Sure.
Getting with these different, following different tutorials on specific, I think controlling this rag is the really hot one right now. Oh, thanks for saying that. Rag is a retrieval algorithm. So it's like,
Give it back to you.
Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for coming.
like look up some tutorials and unique aspects.
Cool.
LLMs.
Hey.
Press for her.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. What's your name?
Sure. I'm from
From what?
Turkey, so I'm
Oh,
like
cool.
sharing kind of same story.
Oh, really? Okay, so you also do.
And just saying like
Oh, you enjoy the sense. Oh, yeah, the kind of similar like coming to America.
That's why
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for AI, I was thinking so I was thinking to make an AI. So I know yes, they have some small innovation, but in Turkey they're like
That's not a thing.
yeah, I just want like I saw like some but they're just like kind of photo, but I found one and behind that like one for like one country one like a IT team and studio, so that is also gonna be very famous in Turkey because her background is top so and then I tried to find